Hello and welcome back to the Premier Injuries channel. Just before we get into this analysis, very exciting analysis indeed, remember to like the video, comment below and subscribe to the channel. We have got so much good content here and, well, we'll make it official in terms of putting it out on Twitter and everything, but I suppose one of the talking points before we go into it as well is we've made a signing ourselves here at Premier Injuries. We've given her the contract. Linn is part of the team now. I mean, so how exciting is that? You know, you're part of our FPL team in that aspect, Linn.
It's awesome. I'm so happy to be signed by you guys. Yeah, okay.
What would your FPL price be if you were to put one on?
Oh, probably be around 6.5 million, maybe.
6.5. Are you not a premium asset? You know, one that people want to keep all season, or are you one of those exciting prospects for the season?
It depends on you kind of put me in your team because I'm a good human being, or you put me in your team because I'm good.
Yeah.
If the first one, I'm expensive. If the second one, maybe not so expensive.
Well, that's an insight into the Premier Injuries team, and like I said there, please do subscribe because we've got so much good content coming out. But we are talking about wildcards in this video. Linn, it's probably, I would say, one of the most exciting times of the seasons, but also one of the most nerve-wracking. How's it been since you've activated that wildcard?
It's been great. I was thinking about it last week, as some of other people were, but I thought I had a good team going into the game week, so I thought I'd wait a bit. But then things happen, you know.
Well, talk us through the logic of playing the wildcard then, because a lot of people have certain rules, certain reasons why they do it. I normally like to do it as late as possible, as close to Christmas, you know, a little Christmas present there as well, a bit of a Christmas obsession. But in terms of it for yourself, were there certain parameters that you thought, or do you like to play the wildcard quite early?
I do like to play it early. Last year I played in game week 3. So yeah, I do play it early almost every year. I thought I could make it to game week 7 when the fixtures turn before I played it. But yeah, no. I no longer saw the reason not to play it now. Like, there was no reason to wait, so why not just do it?
Yeah, why not indeed? And I like the logic behind the early wildcard as well, because you kind of get a little bit of time, you get to see who's good, who's not. Also, there's some injury issues and things like that you factor in if you do have them in your team. But let's start off with your back line then. You've kept Sanchez in the goal, but talk us through all the other players in there.
Hang on, let me just get it up on my screen as well. So I wanted Semedo. I really wanted Semedo. He's so attacking and looking so good. So I had to go for the second best option. Who would you say that is?
It is it Marcal? Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So go on.
That's my guy.
With Marcal,
1 week late. I should have had him last week. I would have been so good, but no.
I mean, that's the thing with the Wolves situation, though. My question to you is, you said Wolves are essential going forward from this game week, but they've only kept one clean sheet. Are they proven enough to you yet? Yes, they've got really good fixtures going forward, but last season they were really poor defensively, not really good underlying data there. What makes you think that they're going to be improved this season, and that you can actually trust in them?
I don't actually trust in their clean sheet as much as some people seem to do, because their manager is not known for being very defensively minded. But I think with these fixtures and the options of them being very attacking as well as the odd clean sheet, should be a winner.
Marcal, I'm just going to put it to you. Open play XA across the first 4 matches, 0.16. Do you think that that's going to improve then going forward?
He just scored a goal, so obviously XG is shit.
I mean, this is the thing though. Maybe I'm I'm not on the Wolves hype train at the moment. You know that I back Traore over Sarr. We can maybe discuss that a little bit later. But in terms of it, I'm just not sold on them, because you look at some of the underlying data, like his XA is similar to Anderson's from Crystal Palace, and there's not been a lot of kind of brilliance from them. But you do look at his heat map. That's the thing that is really outstanding for him. And is it really kind of fixtures over form over data for you in this kind of selection?
Yeah, definitely fixtures. And also thinking, because a lot of people will be owning at least one Wolves defender. So I just want to play it safe for a bit. And I don't really see that many other options for 4.5 that I'm interested in. So I definitely think it's worth a punt.
So let's talk through the others in your back line. Who do you want to bring up next?
Well, we got Trent Alexander-Arnold next.
I mean, I can't even criticise Trent. There's arguably the best player in the league at the moment, or one of the best. Just lots of love about him. He's looking so brilliant, and the fact that he's playing as an inverted wing back as well, making those runs into the centre of the field, he's good. I mean, is the question for you more, how can people not have him in their teams?
Yes, he is one of my reasons for an early wild card, because I've been on Simicast, and I really wanted to get on Trent.
And do you kind of regret that
Obviously.
do you regret, as a Liverpool fan, not having Trent from the beginning? You've been watching, enjoying Liverpool. No? Oh, okay.
Not at all, because Simicast has been great, and his value has been great, and he's got the points and everything. I just wish I could have gone with my wildcard 1 week earlier. Then I would have Marcal, and I would have had Trent, and I would have had so many more points.
And you would have bragging rights as well. You could have just, made the laugh of everybody who'd kind of possibly doubted your choices. So I don't think there's needs to be too much analysis on Trent, because he's just so damn good. And like comparing him even to 7 priced midfielders, his data is outstanding. He's one of the best players in the league, like I said as well. But you've got an interesting backline still with some good attacking. Well, one more good attacking player in there. It's Reece James. Tell us the logic behind that one.
Well, I definitely want in on Chelsea defense, and there's going to be a lot of rotation. So I'm not expecting him to play every game, but I hope when he does, he's going to be attacking, because I think he will be the one they use when they play, say, the not as good teams. And I think you could get a lot of returns. So I'm not counting on him for every game, but a bit like Cancelo, you wouldn't count on him for every game either. But Reece James is 5.6 and very attacking in a very solid team. What's not to love?
Yeah, there's so much to love there. In the first 2 games of the season, I'm not counting that third one because obviously he got sent off, but he had the second highest XA of all players, not just of defenders. He had the second highest XA of all players, 4 chances created, 1 big chance created, and in these 2 opening games as well, he had a high XGI. He had 2 shots in the box. Really attacking threat. I mean, he's going to be something this season. And I think, like you said there as well, he's worth the risk when he is rotated. The thing that I found, and I discussed this with Dan Dormer from the London is Blue podcast, is maybe Tuchel had such a high rotation rate. So I think it was around 5 players every game, since he came into the Chelsea side. But he was managing a squad that he was first of all looking to see who was the best players for him in his style. But then he was also managing Premier League and Champions League runs with a team that he wasn't so sure about. I have a feeling that the team will be a little bit more settled this season, and somebody like Reece James will hopefully maybe shock a few people as being a little bit more consistent, and that is where you can do really well. And then finally, you've gone with some more budget options at the back there, but would you say you're still excited by them?
I would say so. I mean, who doesn't love Duffy? I
He's
don't know if you know the story, but I had to keep it in my team for a full season, and this was the season after his good season because he replied to one of my tweets.
oh
So
wow.
we have a special bond there.
The trust is there that he can deliver you points, clean sheets, and if he
If he
doesn't.
gets to play, then yes, definitely. But then they've got injuries to Byrne, Webster, and Lamptey is still away from actually being fit and playing. So I think it would be safe for at least another month. And I guess that's all you can ask.
And I guess as well, this is kind of the discussion that we had about Chilwell and Alonso at Chelsea. If he's playing well, surely it will be his place to lose.
Yeah.
He is playing fantastically. He's kind of almost been reinvigorated by that loan move to Celtic. And I guess as well, maybe the point that you've got this personal connection with him. If he isn't playing well, you can have a go at him and say, "Come on, Duffy, do better in my team," which could be really good. And finally, in that back line there, you've got a former Brighton defender. You've got White. He plays for my Reds, Arsenal. And they did do well against Norwich, but they had a poor start to the season. But do you think that the Gunners have turned it round now?
And no, but I think they will because they will be gaining confidence by playing the teams they've got fixture against, and that's what you guys need. You need to gain your confidence back. And once you do that, then I think you'll be decent. You've got good players, but I think it will take another game week, maybe two, before you're there.
But would you say that defence is the best option at the moment for the Gunners? Because I totally agree with you, actually. Looking at the Norwich game, I think confidence was an issue. You looked at the players like Pepe, Aubameyang, and they looked rusty. They looked not assured. But the defensive back line has been good at Arsenal since, January time, second half of the season. Lots of people have discussed that Arsenal really were phenomenal in that run towards the end of the season. And they are kind of building from the back in one sense in their play style, but also building from the back in terms of making a really solid team. And in those games that you've mentioned there, you can see clean sheets, maybe not lots of goals as they kind of build that confidence, but the clean sheets could be there. Do you reckon as well, because White is such a progressive passer, we might see an assist from him this season?
It's possible, but I'm more leaning towards getting a couple of bonus points or something from him. Tomiyasu looks really good, very attacking, more attacking than I thought he would be, but he is was it 0.1 more? Because I think White is 4.4 now. So that would mean I would have to give up Reece James for Rudiger to get him. And I
Yeah.
don't think he's as nailed as Reece James actually.
I think as well it's worth the risk for Reece James. His point ceiling is so high, whereas Tomiyasu, he looks good, but it's kind of like the same argument with Tierney. I don't expect Arsenal to score a lot of goals, and therefore I don't think that any player is going to get a lot of assists. Whereas I expect Chelsea to score a lot of goals, and Reece James has that ability. And also, Chelsea are just really good at keeping clean sheets over Arsenal in terms of the two teams. Let's move on to the midfielders, though. Which one are you most excited about?
Oh, it's got to be Jota, isn't it?
And I've seen some people on your Twitter kind of saying, do you want Rafinha? Do you want any of these other kind of people around his price? Mount, Torres. What was your thinking of Jota over them? Is it the Liverpool bias, or is it because he is really, really good?
I've had Jota since game week 1, so it's not like I'm like, oh, Firmino's out, I want Jota. I just want Jota because I think he's that attacking. He's got a much higher ceiling than Greenwood, Rafinha. His ceiling is so much higher. Um, Potentially Torres could be an equal match if he gets to play. So that's my main issue with City. If they get to play, the rotation there is just way, way too much.
And
So therefore, Jota is my most exciting, like, with a budget pick this year either, but he's not a premium. Yeah, I'm excited. He will do well.
I mean, is he like your maverick pick for the season? Do you think that he's going to shock a lot of people?
I don't think it's gonna shock anyone actually, because everyone knows he's got this quality. I think the main issue for people is that they think, oh, he's not gonna play. Firmino's gonna play. I'm not so sure. They will share minutes, definitely, but I think Firmino could potentially be more for Champions League and then save Jota for Premier League. They will still share minutes, but I think that's what we will be seeing more of.
And I think as well, the big indicator for me was when Jota came into the team, Klopp changed the tactics to fit him in. That's how good he is. Like, it's not overstating that Klopp, he's probably one of the players that Klopp values most because he changed the front line from a 3 to a 4. He was shoehorning him in at the beginning, and then, you know, they just played so well. The other thing as well about Liverpool is they are top of the league for XG as well. They're going to be scoring lots of goals. They've only scored 9 when they've got an 11 XG. We discussed this last week, me, you, and Ben, that they're a team that always overperform their XG. So, like you said there, it's even more exciting that Jota, Salah, Mane, all of them could be doing even better. So, talk us through the next midfielder though that you've kind of put in, because just to let people know, you've got a very interesting lineup for a very specific reason.
Yeah. Well, I've got another cheap budget pick, Gallagher.
I like it.
Because we talked a bit about Crystal Palace last week about Edouard and how it will change the team. And I was saying I'm not sure they've got the creative outlets to supply him with the balls, but they do. Gallagher is fantastic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put him in my team, and I am excited to see him play. Obviously, going to bench him against Liverpool, but after that, I'm gonna play him.
And this is the thing, he has exceptional data since the start of the season. Like this isn't even kind of going overboard. He has, so since he's played for Crystal Palace, so game week 2 onwards, he has the highest XGI of any player in the league. I mean, that is phenomenal data.
Insane. And he plays for Palace, and he's 5.5.
Yeah, it's so good. He's on set pieces. Sometimes I feel he's almost playing out of position because you see him goal hanging. He's in the box, he's sniffing around, trying to get goals, but he is also creating chances. Elise's back, but also I think one of the big things for me is Wilfried Zaha is looking at his peak once again. I think he's loving the fact that there's some other players that he can create chances with or for, but also Vieira seems to be tapping into his ability of just kind of free roaming and attacking and playing the lovely football that he likes to. So there's a lot of reasons to love Gallagher. I'm not sure how Palace will do over the next few game weeks because they've got difficult fixtures, but Gallagher can probably transcend that. He will be involved in set pieces, which doesn't really matter on the difficulty of those situations, and hopefully Palace do score from those going forward. So Gallagher is a really fun pick, but you've also gone for another cheap midfielder that is catching the headlines at the moment.
Are you talking about Gray?
I am indeed.
Yeah, I didn't have him in my first draft because I thought maybe he was just lucky the last couple of games. He looked decent, but like it's still Gray, you know. You're a bit skeptical. But now DCL is out for a couple of weeks, and I had Sissoko 4.5, and nice cheap alternative, but I decided to downgrade short to Duffy and go for Gray instead.
Yeah, and the thing with Gray is at points during that game against Burnley, he was playing through the middle. He was that striker. Richarlison was as well. There was kind of almost a fluidity between the two of them, which I found really exciting and fascinating at the same time. And I think the other question that was answered for a lot in the community was, how will Everton cope without DCL there, because one of the questions that I had at the start of the season, seeing the way that Everton were playing, was this is built for a target man, a striker in the mould of DCL. They're going to be playing lots of, forward balls very quickly, kind of bypassing their midfield quite often. And they coped really well. In fact, more than really well. They were outstanding. A little bit kind of earlier in the first half, it was a drab affair, but then they grew into it. And I think the other thing is Benitez once again showed his fantastic man management. Changing the team's formation back to a 4-3-3 because they weren't doing very well was a masterstroke. So I think Gray is looking really good. The only question that I have for you that is a little bit of a worry for me, and why I've not got him in just yet, is he's scored 3 goals from 3 shots on target. That's all he's had so far this season. That's not sustainable. But do you think that the way that Everton play will mean that he gets more opportunities to have those shots off?
With DCL out, most definitely. That's like what tipped me over. Because if DCL was still fit and playing, I don't think I would have gone for him. But now he's going to be one of their most attacking players, no doubt, for several weeks. So, and at that price, just get him in.
He's a punt, but I think he's more than just a punt. He's a well-worked one. Do you think he's going to be playing out of position, like I said as well, just quite often through the middle?
Yeah, most definitely. We saw it, and it looked great, and yeah, it's the way forward for Everton.
Yeah, and Everton's individual attacking data has been pretty promising as well, kind of looking at them. 5th best in terms of XG of all teams this season, top 7 data in terms of chances creating and shots in the box. There's a lot to love there, and I just hope that they keep it up, because last season they did this. They kind of gave us, they flirted with us, they kind of made us think, oh yeah, Everton are going to be this big sexy team this season, and they weren't in the end. And so I just hope that they can keep it, but I trust in Benitez a lot more than I do with Ancelotti. I don't know if that's a bad thing to say to some fans, but I just do. I think that Benitez is a fantastic manager. So then we've got to talk about one last midfielder in there. I don't want to bring up the Traore situation. Just tell us why you put in Sarr.
Because I've had Traore for 3 games. I think it's 2 or 3 game weeks. And he's not delivered. I've got really nice fixtures. And I don't actually want to double up on Wolves. And I've got a Wolves defender. So that's the logic.
And I like Sarr for these fixtures as well, because they're almost must wins, aren't they? Watford are going to approach these. They weren't very good against Wolves, and you do have to ask the question, well, realistically, would they have got a result against them and Tottenham? They can go into these matches against Norwich, against Newcastle, and be positive. They can probably play a lot more positive football. They'll have no Norwich from the Championship of last season. They'll be playing Newcastle at home, which is Vicarage Road is just kind of their fortress. And then Leeds, even away in game week 7, could be a good one for them, because Leeds have been leaky at this start of this season. So I think it's a good one. The final thing is, he's their talisman. And I think that you can't overvalue a talisman effect, can you, Lynn?
No, definitely not. Isn't it? If he doesn't score now, he's never going to score. So this is the time to own him.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. This is his time to shine. And then the positive is if he does well now, he might grow into the league over the next few games. Obviously, there's that difficult game week 8 game against Liverpool, but then there's Everton, Southampton, Arsenal, all kind of games that he can score in. Now, this is the reason why we're talking about your premiums now. And you've gone with 3. I don't know if this is going to be the template going forward. You got Mo Salah, who is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, he's a midfielder, but I'm kind of bringing all 3 into a discussion here. And that's why I said your team is interestingly set up. Your money is interestingly spread out between areas of the pitch. You've got Salah, Ronaldo, and Lukaku. So why have you gone with this amazing premium treble up?
It's mainly because of assets like Gray and Gallagher and Tar. They are making it possible to actually do it and not completely butcher your team. I think, yeah, my midfield is maybe a bit weak in some places, but yeah, I just really rate those budget players.
I do as well. And I think this is one of the fascinating things coming in this season is budget midfielders. I don't know if FPL have deliberately done this or they just didn't realise, but they've done us a solid with some of the pricing of these players. There's a lot of good choices in there. And it's brilliant because there's not necessarily a template now, you know, playing with 2 or 3 premiums, having certain players in. Certain ones aren't essential anymore. It's just a fascinating way to go about it. So talk us through why you have to have, in your opinion, these 3 premiums over anybody else in the game. Starting off with Salah, I mean, I don't think we need to go through too much. He's probably the best fantasy asset out there, but why is he one of the first ones that has to be in your team?
Mainly because he is consistent and he's got a very high ceiling. He is, yeah, it's just a must-have for me. And now, like, there's no question. It used to be a question: Mane or Salah, Mane or Salah. You have to pick one, and maybe you got lucky. But I think nowadays it's obvious Salah is the one to have. And yeah, he's not going anywhere. He's staying in my team.
And the thing would...
What about rotating like Ronaldo and Lukaku depending on fixtures? But I think they're both quite fixture-proof. They can score against anyone. And I tried to take Lukaku out of my team, and I said to wait 2 or 3 game weeks and then get him back in. But I couldn't find any midfielders I would rather have than the ones I've got. Maybe Torres, maybe Greenwood. But I feel that both would probably be a short-term solution because we don't know if they're going to play.
That's true. It's a fair point. And you don't like Rafinha as well. I've seen you kind of almost, and an unpopular opinion is you don't rate him that much, or maybe you think he's a good player, but just not for Fantasy Premier League.
Exactly. I think he's a fantastic player, but if you look at his XG and what he's actually delivered, he's not a good asset, is he?
Yeah. I think the interesting thing as well is he does well when Leeds are doing very well, and they just haven't started the season well at the moment. And it's kind of believing that he will turn the corner just when. I mean, I do have him in my team at the moment, and it's mainly because for me it doesn't make sense to get him out now. You know, Newcastle round the corner, Watford round the corner. There's so many good fixtures that it would be daft for me to get him out. But he is really kind of testing my patience, almost like Traore has done with you. And so I might have brought him in a little bit early, and sometimes I do that. Some people used to call me Mystic McKenna because I do like a transfer 2 or 3 weeks too early, and then kind of sit on them whilst they got 2-3 points, and then eventually it would pay off. And I might have done that again with Rafinha, but I agree with you on the Greenwood and Torres thing. Torres, pep roulette. You just never know. And with Greenwood, again, we don't know what's going to happen when the likes of Rashford is back. If Ole's going to experiment with Cavani at all in there. There's a lot of question marks in there. And then also with the Man United team, when everybody's fully fit, what is that shape going to be? So I agree with you in that aspect. It's kind of, you know that Ronaldo, Lukaku are going to start each week. The question is, though, have you ever thought of just the premium switch technique? So kind of have Ronaldo for these 2 really good fixtures. Yeah. Then Man United have they have the worst run of fixtures over the next game weeks after that. And then you could switch back to him after Lukaku goes into a bad run? Or do you think that that's just not for you?
I mean, we have got 3 or 4 more, I would say, classes premiums. We've got Son, who's injured. We've got Kane. We've got Bruno. We've got KDB. Maybe even Sterling, depending on if he plays soon or not. So there are more premiums to make a decision on. But at the moment, I think these 3 are the ones to have. And I think if you don't have them, you will be hiding behind your couch every weekend.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I didn't.
It's a fair point, and when I watch Ronaldo get his fantastic brace against Newcastle, I was in utter ecstasy. You know, I was so celebrating. And then I love Lukaku, so I enjoyed watching that match. But then straight after, I thought, oh crap, he's just eaten into my huge green arrow. So that's the interesting thing, is you can kind of bank on them. And what I would say with Ronaldo, Lukaku and Salah, there's very few players in Fantasy Premier League or just in Premier League history, apart from maybe the likes of Aguero, where you would say, doesn't matter who they play, they transcend fixtures. Ronaldo is in a Man United team that were the second highest scoring last season, but he himself is so magnificent that it doesn't matter who he plays. Lukaku is in a team that has the best or one of the best defences in the league. They were fantastic at creating chances last year. They just couldn't put them away. So he's going to get one of the best, you know, kind of like Man City level creativity for him. And then Salah is just Salah. He's so good himself. And Liverpool seem to have found that level again that they lost last year. So there is that point there that there's 3 players now that transcend fixtures, and you'll have problems if you don't have them. But do you worry that maybe other areas of your team are lacking, or do you think that doesn't matter? You don't need like somebody like Mason Mount when...
I mean, come on. I've got Trent. I've got Reece James.
Yeah.
It's not a bad team.
It's true. It is true. And the only problem...
I'm also thinking like
Go on.
Jota, he's 7.5.
Yeah.
And that's a very good starting point if I need to move things around.
Yeah.
I could easily downgrade one of my cheap budget mids to a 4.5, and then got even more money to upgrade Jota if I want, say, Forest, Greenwood, or someone like that in the future.
And I suppose...
It's not too much to turn around if I want to change my players.
And I suppose the other thing as well is, apart from who's your last player there that obviously we're not going to talk about, Street. So you've got kind of protection there on the bench as well, that you've got Duffy and Gallagher who will play until we know that Duffy doesn't keep playing. But with them, you've got, in case somebody's injured, in case there's a COVID outbreak, you have covered yourself in that essence as well. So it's a nicely kind of balanced team. It's just... It is the question which a lot of people have put to you already, is have you overlooked the midfield? And you say no, because you've got 3 players in there that are going to transcend fixtures. Doesn't matter who they play, doesn't matter if they have a bad run, they're likely to score. And do you have in mind as well, final question on your team is, do you have a captaincy plan now? Do you think Salah this week against Crystal Palace, next week Ronaldo, the week after that Lukaku? Or are you not kind of planning that and just going to see in the context of the situation?
I would say I've got 3 or 4 players who are going forward very good fixtures. So I've got at least 2 captaincy materials each game week. So I'm not going to plan ahead. I'm just going to see who's on form, who's looking good, and then go for that one. I don't really believe in planning for captains game weeks ahead, because there's so much other things you need to take into account, like 4 teammates, who's injured, who's not, who's playing, who's hot. So I'm not a believer in planning game week captaincy, and I'm not a believer in you need to captain your premium every game week if you've got a premium. That in my world is just bullshit.
Antonio would agree with you, because he just absolutely blew everybody out the water. And this is the thing. I think it's a nice ending talking point, you know, kind of talking about how people play FPL differently, but I like looking and being aware of fixtures ahead, transfers, captaincies, whatever. But I think a lot of people obsess too much over, right, I've got this transfer plan. Game week 4, I'm going to do this. Game week 5, I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to make this wildcard move. And I think, working with Ben at Premier Injuries as well, is an injury can happen at any time. Football is so unpredictable. There could be, like we've seen at Tottenham, just a rafter of injuries, COVID restrictions, and then Japhet Tendanga getting a red card. Suddenly they've got a centre back crisis, and so I think that over planning can sometimes ruin your psyche because you're obsessing, and you have to remember that it's a game as well. Part of the fun is taking those punts. Like you said, maybe not going for the premium asset for the captaincy that game week because it's just fun to do so. So would you say that that's a bit of advice that you'd give as well, as keep in mind fixtures, but don't overplan, don't worry too much?
Exactly, especially in these times with COVID and everything, because I think a lot of us got kind of screwed last year with matches being cancelled and just suddenly having 9 players and things like that. You can't plan for that, and then you've planned ahead to get these players in for this specific game week. It was just madness, and I think it could still happen. So I'm trying to be careful. Also, spreading the risks. Another reason why I don't want 2 Wolves players, and also a new manager and everything. But yeah, spread the risks if you can.
Yeah, spread the risk. You've spread the money nicely, and you've put it in some interesting midfielders. It's going to be exciting over the next few game weeks, obviously keeping up with how your team does. But for now, that is the end of the video today. This is your big team reveal, and it's so exciting. I love wildcards and everything, so I'm going to be cheering you on, giving you the best of luck. But obviously, not as much as luck that I need. I'll be hoping that I stay ahead of you or catch. I think I'm behind you, so hopefully I catch up with you at least. And we will see as well, going into the international break, we'll be doing a special about Sarr versus Traore and see what happens there.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting. He's definitely going to score now. I got him out.
Oh, God. I mean, this is the dirty underhand tactics that I know you brought in Sarr just so that you win the bet with me. That's what you were doing. And like I said, I could just bring in Traore and captain him or triple captain him just to get you back. But in terms of it...
Yeah, it's about time I actually won a bet. So I'm really hoping Traore scores now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is as well is, like I said, in future bets, I'll try and help you. I'll double up, tag team, whatever. But for now, it is head-to-head. It is personal. But for now, also, that is the end of the video. Please do remember to like the video. It means a lot to us to understand if you enjoy these formats. Comment below if you think that Linn's team needs any changes, if you want to make any suggestions. We're not saying that she'll listen, but it's always nice to know. And hit that subscribe button because we've got so much good content. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye.